I appreciate you all having me today. Appreciate the opportunity to have met many of you, to speak to you, to be able to have correspondence with you all, send you all requests for information. You all have been very good and very responsive, and I think you're a great partner for the communities to go out there and do what you do best, which is go out there and ensure navigable waters for our mariners. It's important. It's our way of life here, whether for commerce or whether for recreation. It is a huge part of our way of life, and I just want to say I really appreciate your all's work and effort into ensuring that it remains a pinnacle part of our life. I would say, again, just thank you for allowing me to speak before you today. Very specifically on one topic, as you weigh partnering with the city of Stuart and Florida East Coast Rail and with Brightline to build a new train bridge over the St. Lucie waterway at a cost of roughly $262 million, of which 90% is expected to be paid for by the taxpayers. By the way, none of us, to my knowledge at this point, know whether that new bridge would be owned by the taxpayers or not, but that's something that we should all be able to answer as well. If the taxpayers are paying for the bridge, will the taxpayers own that bridge? So I want to first say this piece of infrastructure would benefit our community. It would help the flow of maritime traffic, as it would be significantly above the mean high water compared to the existing bridge, far more wide than what the existing bridge allows for vessels to pass through. Let me also say that it is hugely expensive, and not the only expense that Brightline and Florida East Coast are asking the taxpayers to foot the bill for. I would ask that if you choose to go forward with this partnership, the parameters, know that the parameters by which you do go forward with a partnership, if you do, the deal that you make, know that it will have ripples across the facets, many facets of our community for many years to come. It's not something that will end simply with deciding they are the partner. I believe that it is in the best interest of all of the taxpayers of our community and of our community as a whole that if you partner with them. And by the way, I would say this exact same thing to the city of Stuart and to Martin County. And I have said these things to Stuart and Martin County, and I will say them to them again. That if you enter into an agreement like Martin County for a station at $90 million for a building or other track improvements, that you do so in a way that benefits the taxpayers first, because that's whose money is being spent. If you choose to do that partnership, then I ask that you demand a number of things from Brightline and FEC. Demand that Brightline and FEC enter into a partnership agreement outlining an end to their practices, which take advantage of our community and disrespect our Treasure Coast, as they have their hand out for hundreds of millions of dollars from the people of the Treasure Coast. Already mentioned is the $262 million for the bridge and the additional $90 million for a station in Stuart and other rail improvements. But you need to know that they are also requesting through other partners across the state, other counties, other cities, hundreds of millions more. The following are the practices that I believe must come to an end, and several reasons why. If Brightline wants a partnership with you, where you and Stuart ask for millions of dollars for them, then they need to end the practice of offering no transparency. We are all aware that Brightline likely has financial struggles, and there are speculations about insolvency. And we are likewise all aware that as individuals, if we entered into an agreement with any bank to purchase a home or an automobile, that we would be expected to disclose our finances or our debt to income ratio, or simply how we would pay our bills. Brightline has done none of those things for those that they say they want to partner with, and that needs to be rectified. They need to end the practice of being deceptive about who Fine and the city of Stuart may partner with. Is that FEC or is it Brightline? We are all aware that Florida East Coast Rail owns the train bridge, owns the track, yet we are told Brightline is the partner for building a new bridge. It doesn't take a congressman to know that if any of us were to add or remove a railroad tie or any one of the spikes of that bridge, that we would be charged with some kind of crime by Florida East Coast Rail, the owner of the track, the owner of the bridge. We can't even walk across it without being charged with trespassing. Yet anybody can't clearly identify who the partner is for this bridge. Is it FEC or is it Brightline? And who of those two will be paying the very small percentage that they are, the 10% cost of the bridge? Who is giving permission to build a new bridge and tear out the old bridge? Who is the land being donated to on one side of that bridge, FEC or Brightline? I believe that is a purposeful deception. Number three, and this is a huge expense to all of us, that I know even Florida Inland Navigation District experiences. Most people know very little about this. FEC needs to end the practice of taxing each city, each county, each municipality for every sewer pipe, fiber optic cable, power line, or road which crosses over or under the tracks. This is something that you all were just speaking about in the budget portion of your meeting. I believe I've heard that you have to pay maybe up to $5,500 in easement for pipes that Florida Inland Navigation District might have that cross the Brightline tracks. Stewart, Jensen Beach, Jupiter, Martin County, St. Lucie County, Port St. Lucie, Fort Pierce, all of my communities across the whole are taxed millions each year, year after year by FEC. By the way, if you are not aware, if anybody is not aware, FEC is a Mexican-owned company, Grupo Mexico, taxing our communities here on our own American soil directly after we just said the Pledge of Allegiance to beautiful 50 stars and 13 red and white stripes, while they simultaneously put their hand out for hundreds of millions of dollars from the people of the community. That does not sit right with me at all. Number four, they need to end the practice of degrading our community by hauling the garbage of Miami to us in the Treasure Coast, and also not picking up the garbage on or around the miles and miles of tracks that they have running through our community. Every day, on behalf of Waste Management Corporation, FEC hauls tons, literally, of Miami's garbage through the Treasure Coast until it stops in the city of Fort Pierce. I dare say that if I took a bag off of one of those rail cars, a black bag of garbage, and I hauled it over to a Brightline station, bought a ticket for it, and sent it back down to Miami, that would not be appreciated by Brightline or the people of Miami. I would say they certainly wouldn't consider it an action of a good partner. And likewise, when I ask them to clean up the garbage that they leave laying all around their tracks up and down our community, piles of old railroad ties, trash that falls off, old equipment, they fought me. And they actually took the city of Fort Pierce to court over their demand that they clean up their garbage. That is not the actions of a good partner. I know that fine is focused on the maritime industry and access to waterways. But I also believe that it's important to note that the mariners that fine advocates for live in these communities, pay taxes in these communities, are affected by the actions of Florida East Coast and Brightline. Their actions have yet to be those of a gracious partner to the Treasure Coast. When I demanded our waterways get at least 50% of the time to have access to the existing bridge so that boats could travel unobstructed beneath that bridge, have free maritime access because water has the right of way. They fought me. They didn't just fight me. They literally said they would purposefully stop the trains in front of major intersections throughout the city. That is when the Treasure Coast came out in full force to show just how much they care, just how much voters care about our community. Many remember that. I know that they are already fighting these common sense requests that I have made for a good faith partnership. But I would say this: if Brightline and FEC have their way, it will not be partnering with the Treasure Coast. It will be a plundering of the Treasure Coast. I want to thank you all for giving me the time to speak to you today. I want to thank you for your consideration of these matters that I've brought before you. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have for me. If you have no questions for me, I'm happy to leave you to the remainder of the meeting. But thank you for the time.